today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Can you tell everybody your first and last name, the name of the academy, and then where you guys are, and then just talk about the academy, what you guys do?
Sure. My name is Matt Wray. Our gym is League City Jiu-Jitsu. And we're in League City, Texas, on the west side. And
Where is that at?
League City,
Yeah.
it's just south of Houston.
Oh, okay.
We're
Got it.
we're
Got it. Got it.
like if you're familiar with Dracolino, Grace of Baja, we're in his neck of the woods.
Got it. Okay. I love Houston, by the way. It's a good place to visit with family, with kids. I have two kids.
Yeah, I've lived here for 35 years ish,
Oh,
so quite a while.
wow. What do you guys offer there? Do y'all do any striking? Do you guys do gi, no gi?
So we do gi, no gi, kids, adults, and we do have a little bit of striking, but it's kind of like an invitation type deal because one of the coaches was a pro fighter for a while. So he does the thing like you pay him like $10 a head and he'll hold pads for you, do a little bit of striking, but we don't have like an official program or anything like that.
Got it. Got it. I guess it's good to kinda implement it if you can, if it works, right? Like, it's just,
Yeah, he mostly did it for me because I asked
yeah.
him if he would hold pads for me. And so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he was like, "Sure, if any of the other guys wanna come and give you some money, that's cool too."
Cool, cool, cool. I always ask this, or I've been asking this lately, what's the oldest, age that you've ever had? You don't have to name names, I'm just kind of wondering what, like, numbers. Some people watching this and that's an issue for them, even at, like, in their 30s, they're thinking, "I'm too old for this."
Yeah, well, they're for sure not because I didn't even start till I was 36, and, my oldest student that I ever had, I think he was 61 when he stopped. He trained
61.
with us for, like, 3 years, and then, work moved him to a different plant. It was too far away, and that was that.
Got it, got it, got it. I think the oldest one we've ever had is mentioned is, 78 or 80 something, I can't remember. I got it written down
Wow.
78, so I'm seeing, like, well, if we can break a record. Uh, but yeah,
I
thank
hope I
you.
can do that.
What about, what's your overall, like, philosophy on teaching, jujitsu? Do you have an overall kinda, like, methodology or anything?
Yeah, I kind of do I have a thing I call like our fundamental block. I try and teach every position and kind of like a couple different techniques from everywhere. Cause what happened to me when I first started was, we would do class, we would learn, an attack from mount, for example, and I would never get to mount. I would never get there. I never got to do any of that kind of stuff. I just get my ass kicked or get beat up by all the other guys because I was the new guy. And every time, sometimes when I did eventually do something right and positive, I kind of get there and I was like, well, now what? Because I didn't know what to do next. So I
Yeah.
like to give everybody just an idea, whether you can do it or not. At least if you're in a position, okay, I can do this, or I can try to do this, whether I can do it or not.
Got
At
it,
least
got it.
you're never like, well, now what? Because
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
sucks.
I understand. Right. Do you wanna highlight any, instructors you have there?
Yeah. So we have, besides myself, we have three other guys. I have, basically he was my second student and he's still the only one I've had since the very beginning. His name is Trey. He's a brown belt. He's been with me for 6 years now. And
Oh,
he's
wow.
really good. Yeah, really good guy. Then I have one of my oldest training partners from when I first started training as a white belt. His name's Bobby. He's the one who was a professional fighter, Bobby Bradshaw. Then I have another guy, Adrian, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu and a brown belt in judo, and he teaches our judo program.
Oh, you have
And
judo,
those are
okay,
my
okay.
guys. Yep, yep.
Yeah. Um, do you have a lot of kids in judo?
Not really, actually. We only have two that ever come to the judo class. They're all welcome to. They don't come to it.
Yeah, 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 that's just, like, how it is at the time. My son used to do judo, and, he liked it. He liked it a lot. I mean, it's like, it's different enough that it's, its own thing, so, you know,
Right.
we did it for a good while.
Yeah,
Um,
I love judo.
Yeah, it's kinda interesting, like, the hip replacement and all the different, like, weird ways you can throw somebody, you know?
Yeah.
Um, can you go back as you want and just kinda tell us, like, how you started jujitsu and, like, why you enjoyed it, why you continued on in that path kinda thing, and all that kinda
Yeah,
lead up
sure.
to owning
So
the place?
I actually started first in Krav Maga in like 2013 because I was walking out of the gym. I've lifted weights my whole life, and a Krav Maga place opened up that said they had a sign that said "Fighting, Fitness, and Firearms," and I'm like, well, I like all those things. So I started training there, and my oldest, longest, best friend for 35 years lived in San Diego, and he lived here, but he moved to San Diego to fight, and he was one of the original Lions Den fighters with Ken Shamrock, and he fought in the UFC, and he owned a bunch of heavyweight titles around Southern California and Northern Mexico and things like that. So I was always talking to him about what we were doing in Krav Maga, and he kind of wasn't digging it. I could tell he never said anything negative. He's always very positive because I was doing something, but he would ask like, "Did you
Yeah.
guys do this? Did you guys do that?" And I was like, "No." So eventually I went to an MMA gym down the street from me called Furia. That's where I met Bobby and a bunch of my friends. And at Krav Maga, I was like really good, one of the best students in there. And when I went to Furia, these guys just murdered me left and right. I felt like there was a
Mhm.
line of little kids down the street waiting for their turn to choke me out. And I was pretty big back then. So I said, okay, I'm going to close the door on my Krav Maga chapter and I'm going to come over here with these guys because something's not clicking where I'm good at this. And then I come over here and these guys just murk me. So I started
Yeah.
doing jujitsu and I did all of it back then. Western boxing, Muay Thai, all that kind of stuff. And I stuck with jujitsu mostly because I didn't start till I was in my late 30s. And I have I'm in IT, so I need my brain. And getting punched in the face and kicked in the head and knocked out, things like that's not super, super good for a long career in IT.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did you ever get into, like, teaching jujitsu?
So I've been training for maybe 6-ish years. And I met up with this Brazilian guy, Janatas, who's still like one of my favorite people on the planet. And he taught at a gym called O Athletic. I had moved over there because it was close to my work and it worked better for my schedule. And he was competing a lot. So every time, and I went to every class. I was like the poster boy for attendance. I wasn't
Yeah,
good, but
yeah.
I was always there. And so it got to be where when he was going out of town, if nobody else like showed up to cover class, I had just got my purple belt and I'm like, well, I'll show you guys what Janatas taught me. I can't really tell you the whys and the ins and outs. I'm not super good at that, but I can tell you exactly what he said to
Just tell it
do.
you like the move itself, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, because I've been doing it. I've done it every single day this week, and so I've got a pretty good handle on how to do it, and it just kind of kept going from there. And I got my own school because I wanted to know judo. I've been trying to learn judo for 15 years, and
Okay.
there was a judo school on the other side of town. I was driving by with my wife, and I just happened to look over, saw judo, turn the car around and she's, what are you doing? So we got to go see what's the deal with this judo school down the street from us. Cause I've been looking for judo forever. Pulled in
Yeah.
there. I got all the info, talked to the guy who's a Russian guy that owned it. And, when I went in there, he asked me what my deal was. I said, well, I'm a brown belt in jujitsu and trying to learn judo forever. And he was like, well, I have a deal for you, my friend. He says, you teach some jujitsu classes here. I will let you train judo for free.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what I did. Yeah, I did that for about 6 months and then COVID hit. And then he was like, yo, Matt, I can't keep this place open anymore. You want to take it over? And I was like, no, I don't want to take it over. And so he closed that down and I had like 3 students, one of which worked with me. So I wasn't worried about him because I could just take him wherever I ended up. And one of them was Trey, who's one of my coaches now. And I felt bad because he'd had a bad experience at a gym previously. So I didn't want to like, sorry, man, I know you had a bad experience and you're really happy here, but see ya. So
Yeah.
I reached out to him and I said, here's the deal, man. Old legs closed down. I said, I'll find something, but it's not going to be amazing. It's going to be little. It's going to be cheap. But if you want to do it, we'll keep doing it. And he was like, yeah. So I rented a storage unit at a U-Haul and that's where we trained. It was literally a 10 by 12 room. We called
Yeah,
it
yeah.
the murder room. And we trained in there for 6 months or so
10
until
by
I had
12.
about, yeah, it was literally 10 by 12. I mean, we had the mats were all the way to the wall. You had to take your shoes off outside, in the
Yeah.
parking lot because the mats were all the way to the door.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, it was it was an interesting time to say the
Not even like
least.
the yard, the parking lot.
Yeah, yeah. It
That's
was
so
out in the
funny.
parking lots where you took your shoes off and come into the door and it's go time. So
But
yeah,
I
we
hear
did
this
that.
story a lot talking to so many people. Garage, storage unit. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because it was not expensive. It was really, and I was paying out of my pocket. So, I couldn't just start dropping thousands of dollars because one, I didn't have that kind of money, and two, my wife would have killed me. So
Yeah.
she was not real super excited about what we were doing anyways, but that it wasn't too expensive. The cost of a storage unit, I think I was paying 150, $200 a month for the thing. And she was like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I'll let that go for now.
Yeah.
So
That's a couple of nights out back then probably. So what about like at this point I mean, jujitsu is a big part of your life. I mean, why did you continue doing it for all those years? What was it about it was, intriguing to you or what was it doing
well,
for your life?
in the beginning, it was mostly just because I'm stubborn and I just wanted to not be so bad at it. I was like, I
Okay.
would I would text my brother all the time and say like, man, I suck so bad. And he's like, just keep going, dude. Just keep going. Don't quit. Don't quit. Which you hear that all the time. Everybody tells the wife does just don't quit, man. You'll get there. So I just kept training. Still never really got good, but I was also stubborn. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to quit. And then somewhere around, purple belt, actually the day I'd say I got my purple belt, was one of the ones where it was kind of a big shift for me because I had another guy that I trained with named Gavin. We're both blue belts and he was a really good training partner and he wasn't on the mat that day. And we had like a fence which separated the jujitsu mats from like the cardio and all that kind of stuff. And he was
Yeah.
outside talking to people and I had just got my purple belt and was like, I couldn't even believe it because I didn't expect it at all. And I really didn't think I should have it, but it was out of my control. And he
Uh,
was like, "Man, are you okay?" And I said, well, that just happened." And looked down at my belt. He was like, "Oh!" He took off his shoes, came running in there, picked me up in a big hug, and was like, "Great job, man! You really deserve it. You've been killing it." And that was when I was like, it kind of started shifting in my head from just being, something I do to like the deeperness, the
um,
depth, I guess you should say, of jujitsu. Like these people, like he doesn't even care that he didn't get his purple belt. He's just happy for me because I was thinking he's going to be like, this guy, I kicked his ass because he did. I kicked his ass. He shouldn't be getting a purple belt. I should be getting a purple belt. But none of that even factored in. He was just happy for me as people. And it was like,
yeah.
that was when I was like, this is something I need in my life, like these connections of people, which I had when I was in the military, but really had never had that kind of thing since. And
Okay.
it reminded me of that because, in the military, those guys are your brothers. You'll die for each other, but it's a different thing. And then when he did, it just gave me that same vibe. And then I started
Yeah.
noticing, like, I started getting more into like, just like, I never wanted to be off the mats after that. That was a big shift for me that day, though. I'll never forget that. He probably doesn't even remember it, but I do.
How long did you feel like how long did you feel like you sucked? Does that make sense?
Uh, I guess
I
14
mean,
years
how
now
long
because
did was that
I
period?
still suck. I still feel like
Yeah.
I suck. I'm
Well,
I'm a much better teacher than I am a doer.
okay, okay. Um,
But I guess like I felt like I could do jujitsu probably around when I got my purple belt, and that was I'd been training, I think, about 6 years when I got my purple belt.
Okay,
And
got it,
that's
got
when
it,
I
got it.
felt like, okay, I can kind of do some stuff now. I have a game. I know what I like to do. I still get beat up by savages, college wrestlers, and all those kind of guys because I'm old. I'm 50. So when you get a 25-year-old killer on the mat, I'm just trying to, not get hurt. I've had lots of surgeries and things, so I'm trying to not get under the knife again.
What about League City? Is League City the city? Is that what you said? Or
Yes, sir.
okay, it
League
is. Okay,
City.
got it, got it. I was gonna ask you how you got the name. So when you started, like how did it progress? Like was it right away as far as, the students coming, or was it like a really slow
No, it's been very really
turn?
slow, but it sticks. So like when we had the murder room, I got up to about 5 or 6 of us, which then we had enough of us to go into a little bit bigger spot. And then I set like thresholds in my head. When we went into the bigger one, I was like, okay, if I can get to 10 or 12, then I'm going to try and find another bigger one. So we got there because both of those were in the U-Haul. One was just the murder room 10 by 12. And then the next one was an office warehouse space that was in the U-Haul same facility. Then from there, I went to where I'm at now, which is inside of this powerlifting gym because I've known those guys for 20 years. And I hit him up and was like, hey, man, I'd like to rent some space. Can we work something out? And he was like, man, ever since I saw you doing that, I was wondering when you were going to hit me up. And I was like, I would have done this a long time ago if I knew you were cool with it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had a whole like spiel ready to sell him on the idea and he was already ready to go. So yeah, we moved into one in there and that one was like 20 by 30. And then when I
Mm,
got up to about 15, 20 students, we moved again. We're still in with the powerlifting guys, but we built another one, which is even bigger. And now I'm talking with the owners of the gym now to let me even double that. And then that'll probably be
okay.
kind of where I cap it because I don't really look to have an academy with hundreds of students or anything.
Mhm.
I like keeping it tight. We're all tight. We all know each other really well. We hang out, outside of the gym. I think like, 50-ish people is really all I kind of want because I'm not doing
Mhm.
it I am doing it for money, but I'm not doing it for money because I have a full-time job that pays me really well and takes care of me. So I just do it because I just love jujitsu. I love training. I love getting new people that have never like gotten it, like showing it to them. Look at this. It's awesome. Well, let's
Yeah,
choke each other.
yeah. Right, 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 right. If when somebody comes to you and just kinda like asks, "What can jujitsu do for me or for my kid?" What do you tell them? If you have like, one big thing that it can do for them.
I usually ask them what they're kind of looking for really because it's to
And then
me
you
it's
can
just
tell them
so
if it can provide that, yeah.
yeah because a lot of people get into it initially for like the self-defense kind of stuff and I tell people for sure it can do that. I said but to
Yeah,
me it's so much more than just fighting and violence and self-defense kind of stuff. It's like it's good for your brain, your problem solving under pressure. You find out right away if something doesn't work because next thing you know, you're swept on your back and you're being mounted. You get close contact with people. You get your tribe of people. All these things, in my opinion, are just really good for humans. Good for your lungs, your heart. It's just jujitsu's. It's it. I don't even know how to say
yeah,
it. Really.
yeah. It's not just like the outcome of what you learn, it's the journey, what
Yeah,
the ongoing training, twice a week or whatever it may be, the
yeah.
relationships and
I knew a guy from powerlifting that I love saying his quote. He said, "I'm not here for the tunnel, or I'm not here for the light. I'm here for the tunnel, man." Like the light at the end of the
Mm,
tunnel. It's not
that's
about
I've
that.
never
It's
heard
the
of that. That's a
tunnels.
good way to put it.
Yeah. Ever since he said his name was Matt Vincent, you can look. He's big on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But I like giving him the props because that's such an awesome quote to me.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. I can't believe I've never heard that before. It's
Yeah.
like a new thing. I've never heard of it. It's said that way. Well, thank you so much for your story, man, and what you're doing with your community. to wrap it up, what would you like to say to your to the people that go to your academy? Would you like to say anything to them?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to do this, trusting me with your bodies, some of you, your kids, and money, and just allowing me
Yeah.
to be part of their journeys because it's awesome. I love it.
You guys are on social media?
Yeah, you can just if you Google League City Jiu Jitsu, you'll find all our stuff. We're everywhere. My
Yeah.
wife runs all the social media stuff because I'm not a big social media fan.
Got it, got it. Well, thank you so much for your time, Matt. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing.
you.
I know
Appreciate
it
it.
does some good. How's it going, man?
I'm good, Cody. Yourself?
I'm really good. I'm really good. Thank you so much. Can you tell us, can tell everybody your first and last name and the name of the place, where you guys are, and then we'll talk about, what you guys offer there.
Yes, sir. So I'm Christopher Velez. I'm the head coach and owner of Archimedes Jiu-Jitsu in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay. And Archimedes, what is Archimedes? It makes me think of the Sword and the Stone.
Yes,
The old movie. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
yes, yeah. That's
Uh,
an old movie. No, so Archimedes
what
is so I'm a bit of a
somebody in
nerd.
the movie was named Archimedes.
Yeah, yeah. So Archimedes was a Greek mathematician and philosopher. Um, he's known for other things, but one of the things that he has a famous quote for is he talks about leverage. So he says, "Give me a long enough lever and a fulcrum to put it on, and I can move the world." So jujitsu, leverage. So we went with Archimedes.
Okay, makes sense, and that's why I remember the reference now in the Sword of the Stone too. It had something to do with who he was. Yeah. And
Yes, sir.
so that's so funny. I was born '85, so of course that was a big movie for me. But yeah, cool, man. What do you guys offer there? What kind of classes?
Yes, sir. So we offer primarily Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but we kind of add a bit of a spin to it. I have a wrestling and judo background prior to starting Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, so we incorporate a lot of takedowns. And of
Okay,
course, with that philosophically, how we teach here is we teach at the nexus of sport, combatives, and self defense.
okay. Can you just explain to everybody in your words what is the difference in those three?
Yes, sir. So, sport obviously is the thing that most of us practice day to day. That's your free rolling, as well as doing jujitsu versus jujitsu. The self defense is I categorize different from combatives. Self defense is strictly unarmed. You're talking that's going to be a little bit more schoolyard fighting, if you will, more applicable to children. Why I say combatives is a separate category is because we're in the United States. People could produce weapons out of their waistbands, out of pockets. So in that category, my jujitsu shifts slightly. So we also teach how
Okay.
to both retain and access weapons.
I think that's probably why I had that question because I heard self-defense and combatives. Yeah. So, but yeah, 100% it makes sense, and it makes sense to have two different, yeah, spurs if you can. So that's cool. Um, what is like? Well, I've been asking this question. What's the? You don't have to name names or anything. Just a number. What's the oldest person you've ever had at the academy? I like
Oh yes,
seeing like how what's the oldest we can get? Like I think 78 is the number so far.
wow,
So go
that's
ahead.
awesome.
So
Hey,
anybody who's watching, sometimes they're you know even in their 30s sometimes thinking, "Oh, I'm too old." So I like to do
oh,
this and see what's the oldest. And, yeah.
yes, sir. Yeah, so his name's Greg Walker. He's one of our best students. He's also one of the assistant coaches when I'm out of town. He is, I believe, 52 or 53, and
Okay.
he's a bad dude. Purple belt. He's also one of our law enforcement officers here in Shreveport, and he's on the SWAT team. So he's
Yeah.
he's a bad dude. You don't want to be on the opposite side of Greg Walker.
Okay. So all you 30-year-olds watching, come on,
Yes.
Um, can you tell me, what's the youngest for the kids classes? What's the age groups?
Yes, so my kid classes, I teach basically from 7 and up. Now I do have a couple of 5-year-olds, but
Mm.
really when you get a little bit younger than 7, um, unfortunately, because I'm also active duty Air Force, I don't have the time
Mm.
budget to be able to have a separate class for the younger group. So 7 and up is like
I've heard that before.
my
Yeah.
kids. Yeah, because that age group is phenomenal to get
Yeah.
into jujitsu, but you have to do classes completely differently. So I can't teach a whole lot of techniques to a 5-year-old, whereas a 7-year-old could start to pick things up.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. Yeah, makes sense. It's like definitely a separate class. Yeah, with jujitsu, it's usually at academies, it's like 2 different tiers of kids, and then you have, like, the
Yes.
teenagers go to the adults class, basically, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What's your, like, overall, um, kinda like your methodology, like, your the way you teach jujitsu or kinda like your philosophy and, like, teaching jujitsu? Can you hit on that in any way?
Yeah.
I'm sure
So
I know everybody's unique in a little way, yeah.
yes, sir. So, I came when I was coming up in jiu-jitsu, it was a lot of drilling and a lot of sparring with we would do some positional sparring, but it wasn't as emphasized. Um, However, I believe in a lot of positional sparring and a lot of situational sparring. A lot of people conflate the two. How I kind of separate them is positional sparring is, for instance, we were working half guard these past 2 weeks. So we would start rounds inside of half guard knee shield, and top players trying to pass the half guard, bottom players trying to either sweep or make a back take. If we find ourselves in one of those scoring positions or in a position that stalls out completely, we reset it. What this allows is for the athlete to start to bridge the gap from static drilling, where we're brand new, we're learning the move, to full on free sparring where a half guard could appear out of nowhere. This really kind of bridges that gap to give someone an opportunity to do the position against resistance. Situational sparring is also another thing that we include here, and that is understanding the context. So this is going into sport, could be applied in self defense and combatives, but we really apply it for the sport, and that's where, right, any other sport out there, you'll have game day situations where you're down so many points and you need to make up those points within a time limit. So that then changes the
Um,
calculus for the player who's defending the winning position and the player who has to take offense in order to win.
yes, yes. I'm already
And then,
loving this conversation. I love
oh,
the
yes, sir.
well, I find your approach very intriguing, this like the scientific minute micro approach. I mean, you're separating things into categories. I mean, you're talking positional and situational. Of course, they are different, but yeah. So that's cool, man. Um,
Yeah,
can you, go back as far as back as you want? Let us know how in the world you got into jujitsu and, kinda why you fell in love with it and how it's progressed over the years for you and up until now.
for sure. So, my actual first brush in jiu-jitsu, and I don't really count this as part of my time, was while I was in Kuwait. Out on a TDY, basically a summer vacation deployment, if you will, down to Al Yaslim Air Base. So again, like I said, I'm active duty Air Force. Um, while I was out in Kuwait, I got into combat sports by way of a bad breakup. So any dudes out there, if you have a bad breakup, right, find yourself to a combat sport, preferably jujitsu, but any of the others are good as well. Um, so with that,
Okay.
I started off with boxing, and then there was a jiu-jitsu class that took place after boxing. And in there, I really was like out of my element. I got to experience a blue belt girl, and unfortunately, I don't remember her name, but she was out of the pit, John Hackelman's gym, and she basically, like, I outweighed her by probably around 100 pounds, and she could choke me at will. Like, and it was the craziest thing ever. And a lot of people face that decision point where it's like, you either decide, like, oh, like, I'm going to come up with some excuse as to why I don't want to do this anymore. Or, like me, I was like, man, if she could choke me out, I'm at the time was 215 pounds. I was like, if I could figure out how to do this, like I could beat up anyone. Like there's not a person alive that would be able
Yeah,
to
yeah.
stop. So I was like, this is a
Yeah, yeah.
superpower. I want to learn it. So I got into it. When I got back to the States, I trained a little bit of MMA. Um, and I found the striking part, punching and kicking is super fun until you get punched and kicked. Then it's like, oh, this isn't, I'm not as into losing brain cells that way. Um,
Yeah, like on a regular basis, kinda yeah,
yes,
at least.
yeah. And I found with jujitsu, I could do it harder, with more
Okay.
with a greater amount of safety. Like we can't sit here and tee off on each other's heads. So over time, I gravitated more and more
Right.
towards grappling. Now, when I got to Air Force Academy, reason I don't count that previous time in jiu-jitsu was I took about a almost a 4-year hiatus from jiu-jitsu because I went over to Air Force Academy, got picked up, and out there, I jumped right into wrestling. Never wrestled in my life. And I was like, but, wrestling at the time, this was 2008. So this is like George St. Pierre, Matt Hughes was on his way out, but like a lot of wrestlers were doing well in MMA. And I was like, oh, well, that's what those guys are doing. I want to jump in. So I wrestled in college
Mhm.
for 5 years, 1 year club, 4 years D1. And then when I got to Air Force Academy in the off season of my freshman year, I started doing judo, and I did that for about 2 years, and then jumped into jujitsu the summer between my junior and senior year. So there was a period in time where I was doing uh, Air Force Academy wrestling and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, which was insane. From there, I graduated, continued doing jujitsu because there's no wrestling beyond college unless you have Olympic aspirations, and judo is way too small. So I just stuck with jujitsu, and jujitsu kind of became my vehicle to be able to interact with the communities around me as I went to different locations. And it became my
Yeah,
other one to make friends because in the Air Force, you're plugged into a network, which is super cool. But it's also good to have friends outside of the Air Force to gain that perspective. So when I got to Minot, North Dakota,
right, right.
is when I actually got into coaching. So I was a blue belt at the time. And the program that was there on base, there was an existing program, but it just wasn't very organized. So I kind of came in and took it over and organized it into a team. And then I also started teaching off base. And then when I left, that program continued, and we were under my coach of first BJJ, Carlos Santos. So I basically built an affiliate up there and left it in Minot, North Dakota. And then the guy who we left it to, also Air Force, he ended up PCSing or moving to a new base. So that team is now under a different affiliation. Still great guys. And then I moved over to Montana, set up another program in Great Falls, Montana, on base at Malmstrom Air Force Base. And then out of there, I got orders down to teach university in Utah. So I was back at First BJJ in Carlson Gracie, Utah. So down there, was coaching. That's where I got my brown belt at that point. And then I moved over to got orders down here to Louisiana. So I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring and start to learn the business aspect of jiu-jitsu, which is a different category from competing, which is a different category from coaching. So coming down here, I set up my school in I got here in May of 23. My school was set up and fully operational by September of 23, and we've been running strong since.
Mm. I got several questions here.
Yes, sir.
First, how did it help you through the breakup?
Yeah. So before my breakup, weightlifting and running were my two outlets to be dealing with stress. After the breakup,
Mm,
I was kind of in down in the dumps. I experienced, I guess, depression for the first time in my life. Young guy, high school sweetheart kind of thing. Um, and
okay,
what jujitsu did was it got me not
lines up.
only out doing doing like a physical activity, but it also got me connected with people. When you go to the gym, like me, I chuck on headphones, I go into my own little world. It's good for like being isolated away from everyone to be in my own head. But at that point in time, I did not need to be in my own head. So having a team of people around me that, the post class, the post roll like hangout where everyone's sitting around talking, BSing. In fact, right before this
Okay.
meeting, my guys were doing the same thing here.
What did you say right before this meeting? What?
Oh, right before this meeting, my guys were hanging around. We were BSing, talking for probably around like 25 minutes after practice.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so like, I think that's kind of hitting on a little bit of something of when you go through a hard time. I think maybe especially guys, we do reach for something like, that can take us away from that. And of course, any kind of physical activity does that. And maybe a physical activity that also includes a social aspect isn't the first thing that we would reach for, right?
Yeah.
But I think maybe it's one of those things. It's kind of like getting up and going to a party or something where, last second you don't want to go anymore. But if you just
Yes.
go, you're gonna have you end up having an amazing time. So it's kind of like that where, yeah, if you just try it out, it could be way more beneficial, having that social aspect than just running by yourself or just, working out by yourself. So the other thing I wanna, ask is, you said having that pers like, having the added element of having friends outside of the military. Is that kind of I've never heard of that, so maybe somebody who's in the military is listening to this. I've never heard of that, before, of, like, that possible issue of not having, and you use the word perspective, that can come with having friends outside of the military. Is that a thing in the military that's kinda common?
Yeah. Yeah. So what's interesting is, right. So I've been in the Air Force since the 1st of August 2006. So since I was 18, I've been in the Air Force. I'm now 30. I'm 37, going on 38. Um, what's interesting is this thing ends. It doesn't matter. It's, fingers crossed. I got to do a couple more years. I enjoy my time in service, but at the end of the day, the uniform's coming off. And that's a super scary moment for everyone who's in any branch of the military, because if all you've known is this lifestyle and this kind of job opportunity, it is a little bit scary because there's a veil, right? We go through this thing in the Air Force or in the military called TAPS program. It's the Transition Assistance Program, and what they do is they set you up with like, hey, here's how you do a job resume. Here are the different kind of programs that are available to you. Here are the different veteran organizations that are out there. But it's one thing to go through the program, but it's another to actually interact with the local community, see what's actually out here. The great thing about jujitsu, and I'm sure every single person you interview is going to have a very similar thing to say, is you're interacting with folks that you would never interact with otherwise, right? Like in here, we got cops, surgical
Yeah.
techs, medical school students, of course, a ton of Air Force because we're right outside of the base. Um, we got high school students. Soccer moms, and all of these different aspects of talking to different people that I would never talk to otherwise, has given me a greater perspective to
Yeah.
see, like, okay, like when the time comes for me to punch my ticket and get out of the Air Force, um, there's a ton of different things that I could do. Of course, I want to keep doing jujitsu, but there's other things out there as well.
Mm. Use the word veil, and then I think that kinda, like, really explains what you're trying to get to. Because, like, no matter, it is a veil, right? It is a
Mhm.
veil over your entire life, just like the military perspective all the time, no matter what aspect of life it is. It's through those lens. I'm assuming, I've never been in the military, but, yeah, like, trying to keep, like, one foot outside of that is, probably healthy. Okay. The other thing I had to, is North Dakota. What was it like in North Dakota? That's my
Cold,
question.
cold, cold. So North Dakota,
Cold.
I was stationed in Minot Air Force Base. So if you talk to anyone who's in the military, they'll tell you, why not Minot? Freezing is the reason. It does get super cold out there. In fact, there was a really funny moment where there, you know, talked about the temperature that was on Mars, and it was actually warmer on the planet Mars, on the sunny side, than it was in Minot, North Dakota. Yeah, you get to negative 60
Okay.
degrees out there. It's pretty brutal. But what was really cool with the
Oh my
jiu-jitsu community
gosh,
out there.
man.
Oh
Wow.
yes, yeah. Yeah, so and I'm a Florida boy myself. I'm from Port Charlotte, Florida, a little bit further south than Pensacola, close to Tampa. But yeah, first time I experienced that level of coldness. But like anything else, you adapt.
Mm.
But
Yes. Yeah, we adapt, right?
where our mats were off base, we were in basically a car garage. So not a ton of insulation. So we would have to, commit the cardinal sin of wearing socks on the mat until the building warmed up enough for the mats to be
Yeah,
warm enough for us to not get, a little bit of frostbite on the toes.
yeah. That's funny. That's funny. So when you started, when you opened the place, tell me why you really wanted to open an academy. What was the reason behind it?
Yeah. So, like I said, I've coached a long time and I've really fallen in love with coaching and instructing. The
Mm,
opening of the academy was my next logical step because I'm at 16 years of active duty service right now. And in 4 years, I'll be eligible to retire. So this is ultimately what I want to do with my time is teaching jujitsu. So understanding the business aspect, I've talked with my coach Carlos about the business aspect, and it was completely foreign to me. So this was an experiment because
mm,
I'm still active duty right now. I still work. I go TDY. Um, I'm traveling all over the place. So this is a good opportunity for me to learn the business aspect in a slightly lower stakes. So the first time that I do it, it's not that my wife is
right.
depending on that paycheck for us to be able to survive.
Yes. Right, right. Why do people love it there? Why do they keep coming back? Why do they like it at the academy?
Yes. So I think it's a lot of our philosophy. My goal is to try to have the academy be larger than myself. That's one other reason why I chose a name that wasn't like Chris Velez Brazilian Jiu Jitsu or something like that. Because I'm probably a little bit too shy anyway to have my name be out there like that. But the other thing is, I want the gym to be a larger community than myself. I think one of the coolest moments
Mhm.
was when I was sitting here and when I first started up, probably for the first like 6 months or so, I had to be like the one who was engaging in the post roll hangout of talking, figuring out like, oh, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Blah, blah, blah. And it was very
Yeah.
focused on me. One of the coolest moments was I was sitting back and I just saw all of the students interacting with each other, joking around, hanging out, like, saying like, oh, hey, I got a one student who's like a pretty big gamer. He's talking about the newest video game that's coming out. I got another student who's talking about the fishing trip he's going on. And it was like a really neat environment. And I think that that's ultimately like, if you boil it down, I mean, even the most competitive schools out there, only a small percentage of us athletes actually compete in the sport. But what you're going to find is the community that the sport has or that the team has is is what people really come back for. Everyone comes in like originally the thing I wanted to come into jiu-jitsu for was I was really interested in MMA and I was like, "Oh, I want to learn how to fight like this." That ship has, come and left. I'm not doing MMA. I compete in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but the vast majority of this that I really enjoy is impacting other people and meeting other people. Like just like it's kind of one of the coolest jobs you could have being a coach where I'm getting to meet all different kinds of people who come and go. And that's the thing, just like the Air Force, with most people, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu will be something that comes and goes. Of course, we want to keep as many people as we can, but every person has different seasons in their life. I have one student who just had a newborn, and that is he's now experiencing the joys of being a father. And of course, like, would I love him to be here every single class? Yes, but this isn't the time for that. This is the time for him to go off and be a dad and use some of the lessons that we learned here, on patience, problem solving, to be able now to apply that in the real world with his daughter.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, it's kinda interesting. Jujitsu, it seems like it's kind of like almost, I mean, you're talking about the social part about it. I mean, it's like a forced social hour, you know? It's
Yes.
and I put it that way for adults, right? Because we don't get that, really, unless we have something like this or we have the time, especially if you have kids, right? I come from the perspective of a parent, and it actually came a little bit about that for me as well. After like a few months, you inevitably make friends, you know,
Yes.
even as a parent sitting there watching your kid. So, yeah, it's almost like a social like a forced social hour, and it's also so the forced, lessons that you learn that go beyond, combat, right?
Yes, sir.
So, if somebody comes to you now and just kinda asks, like, "What can jujitsu do for me?" Or, "What can it do for my kid?" What would you say to them?
Yeah. So I kind of put it into a couple different categories. Of course, there's right the physical element, which is kind of inherent. Now, I have a ton of people who always say, "Oh, I want to get in shape for jujitsu," and the only way to get in shape for jujitsu is to just jump in and do it. So the physical aspect, of
Mm,
course, you're going to gain flexibility. You're going to gain uh, core strength. You're going to gain, if your school does break falls, that's honestly the one thing people always ask me, like, have you ever used jujitsu in the real world? Yes. Slipped on ice, broke
mm,
fall, did not break my arm, did not knock myself unconscious. Right. So the physical aspect is one part.
mm.
The other side, of course, we've talked a lot about the social aspect as well, um, right? Meeting people across town, making friends, having a shared interest, and even kind of crossing some barriers. I know, not to get political or anything, but a lot of people right
No, for
now
sure, I
are
understand what you mean,
a
yeah.
little bit divided. What's cool is jujitsu doesn't really have that aspect, at least not at a good
Mm,
school. We sit here, we got guys from all spectrums across the political aisle, and everyone is super cool and respects everyone else's perspective. The other thing is the mental aspect. So the for me, one of the things personally that I found in jujitsu, the physical aspect was good, the social aspect was good, but the mental aspect, especially being in the Air Force, right, is the ability for me to problem solve under stress. Really, when we're rolling, like
okay.
a lot of people look at rolling as like a physical activity, and it is, but I could be a little bit smart in how I approach the role. So I always look at it as I'm trying to problem solve my opponent's problems faster than he could solve my problems. And to be fair, ripped that straight off of John Danaher. He has a great quote about that. But I was like, man, that's a really great perspective on looking at the sport is, yeah, we're problem solving here. You're presenting a problem to me with your guard, and I am solving that problem by passing. Now, the better athletes will not just present problems, but rather they present dilemmas. And then now that's where, again, a mental aspect has to come into play is now with the dilemma, I have to think second and third order effects of which bad choice do I pick? And I make that choice and I try to see a couple steps down the line to get myself out of danger and then start to put up my counters. So that's the part that I really love. And honestly, that's what I use in my military life and my personal life is I'm looking at problems. I'm like, okay, like prime example would be, uh, you know, I'm trying to get debt free, right? In terms of like I got a house
Mm,
payment, I got bills, I got this. If I look at everything as like, oh my gosh, I have this massive amount of debt that I'm trying to clear with my house and car payment. Um, if I look at it like that, man, it's going to be an overwhelming problem that I'm not going to be able to figure out. But if I go and I slice it out and I'm like, well, wait a minute, like, let me do a little bit of math here. If I pay an extra $100 on my mortgage or something, like now I've taken this massive problem set and I've whittled it down to something that's manageable, then I'm able to
mhm.
apply that and improve my position, much like I would if someone's mounted on top of me with a cross collar choke. It's like, okay, like I'm here, I could be panicking and tapping, or I could say, well, what are the things that I need to do, the little steps to get myself into a better position? Might not be all the way winning, but I'm in a better position than where I was. And if you continue that attitude, then you'll find yourself in the better position in offense, both on and off the mats. So that to me is the probably the biggest thing that I think that a lot of people get out of doing jujitsu.
A lot of people talk about the kinda like the puzzle aspect of jujitsu and how that can help them mentally outside of jujitsu, and I always think about, like, an older person doing Sudoku or some kinda like, like a
Exactly.
puzzle, and it makes me think, like, maybe everybody should be doing puzzles, and, of course, it's the you're talking about that in jujitsu. Yeah, like, how it can help you in, nuanced ways or subconscious ways in life. Yeah, so Well, thank you so much, man, for your cool story. I loved it. Can you can you tell what would you like to say to the academy there? Is there anything you would like to say to the people who go there?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So, Team Archimedes, keep coming through, keep pushing each other on the mat. And yeah, hips in, head up. The guys will understand what that means.
Okay. Thank you so much, man. Are you guys are on social media, of course, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. We're on Facebook at Archimedes Jiu-Jitsu, as well as Instagram at Archimedes Jiu-Jitsu. And then our
Got it. Got it. Got
website
it. Okay, man.
is
Well, yeah. Go
perfect.
ahead. Go ahead. Website.
Oh, sorry. Our website is you can
Go
find us
ahead.
at Shreveport, Shreveport, BJJ.com.
Got it. Thank you, man, so much for your time today. Okay. I hope you have a good day, and I'll reach out again soon. Okay.
Definitely. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Cody. And I'll shoot you Carlos's info.
100%.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Awesome, man. Thank you, dude.
All right. See you.